Good morning, good afternoon, and good day to you wherever you might be. Welcome to the Pait Group Joy of SharePoint webinar series, Illuminating Microsoft 365. Over the last few weeks, we have been exploring the possibilities of the various applications in Microsoft 365. Today is Yammer Day because I heard a rumor that it is actually the year of Yammer. So it is. It's 2020, the year of Yammer. I feel like it's been a rough year for the year of Yammer, but it's just going to get better from here. We're going to make it.
That's the right attitude, you know.
It's the right attitude.
The year can only go up. The year can only get better. Let's just put it that way.
That's it. And I will say, the new features in Yammer are going to make it that much easier for this year to get better. I'm saying I'm impressed. So if you're new to our webinar series, welcome. I'm so glad you have come and joined us today. My name is Joy Apple. I am Joy of SharePoint out in the social media world. I am a modern workplace strategist and trainer at Pait Group, and I also get to lead the Joy of SharePoint webinar series. I've been working with Microsoft products and technologies for 12 years now. I also do technical writing, all kinds of fun stuff. Please, if you have not connected with me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Joy of SharePoint, I would love for you to. And I have with me, as usual, Richard with Pait Group. He's my workplace twin. Richard, how has your Tuesday been?
Hello, hello. Tuesday's going really well, thanks. So welcome everybody. Yeah, glad that you were able to join us today. As Joy mentioned, so we are effectively workplace twins. So I'm also a modern workplace strategist, focusing primarily on overarching strategy for Microsoft 365, why you're using these tools, what the business value is you're trying to achieve, adoption, change management, training, all the types of things that really get to the end user to really be able to see like, oh, this is great. These are the tools that I've been kind of wishing for my whole life. That's the kind of stuff we just love to talk about. So been doing this for a really long time as well, and just excited to be here talking about all these things with you guys during these webinars. So something we often do, if you've attended any of our webinars in the past, we typically throw out a couple of poll questions. We just want to know a few things about you. That helps us just connect with you even more over these Teams live events. And so have the poll up here on the screen. A couple of ways you can get to it is there's a link in the Q&A panel. If you so care, if you're so inclined to do so, you could also just point your mobile device camera at this little nifty QR code here, and it'll take you to that form in your mobile device to fill out. But given that it is the year of Yammer, and we're talking about Yammer here today, in addition to wanting to know who's who, so if you'll just kind of let us know what your role is within the organization, we just want to know a couple of pretty simple things. Number one, are you even using Yammer within your organization at all? Or you're kind of like, what's Yammer? Probably not. That's why you signed in to this webinar today. But if in fact you are using Yammer, also interested to know, has your Yammer administrator enabled you to experience the new Yammer experience, what's in preview at the moment? And if so, are you trying it? Because if you have the option of doing so, I highly encourage you to give that a try. And Joy's going to run through a whole lot of what's great about that new experience here in just a bit. And then also some things relevant, again, to kind of the business case for using a tool, a service like Yammer. How are you currently broadcasting communications, whether they come from the executive team or kind of corporate-wide communications or your overarching leadership team? I'm curious to know what you guys use for that today. You could use Yammer, you could use traditional methods. Email tends to be kind of a pretty common way to send out corporate-wide communications. Maybe you're one of those companies that's using a org-wide channel or org-wide team inside of Teams now too. That's pretty cool to do that. And then something fun I always like to try to do here. So Joy helped me. I didn't realize today is National Fudge Day, which is pretty cool. So just interested to know, like, hey, what's your favorite kind? So we've got a few choices down here at the bottom. And don't be shy to tick the box for, hey, do I really have to pick only one? Because I really like them all. But just curious. So we've got a few responses here. So we're going to go and flip over to this tab. And let's just kind of see what we've got going on. So a good mix of roles here today. Again, welcome, thanks, appreciate that. Not too many, at least according to the 6 that have responded so far, using Yammer. So yeah, we'll be interested to understand, at least as we go through, if you're finding maybe some more relevant use cases for. Got another yes there, thank you. And then for those of you that said yes, obviously the couple of you, have you tried it? So one person said yes, it's great, awesome. Please weigh in the Q&A if you've got some specific things that you find are really, really useful in the new Yammer. And again, for those of you that haven't seen it, I think you're going to find some really pleasant surprises here. And then how do you communicate broadly? You know, again, no big surprises here, right? Email, internet homepage, that whole kind of thing here. And then, yeah, let's see what's going on here on the favorite kinds of fudge. Salted caramel, wow, pulling the lead here at this point. What about you?
Never had that kind of.
I was going to say, how about you, Stacy or Joy? I mean, if you were forced to choose from the list, I mean, what might you choose out of that?
You don't want to know. It's okay.
Huge peanut butter fan, quite honestly. So I probably pick
I would have said peanut butter, but now that I see so many people have gone to salted caramel, I to try that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know basic chocolate's obviously a good one too there. So okay, so thank you for responding. We've got 11 responses coming in here now. I'm just kind of curious to flip back to still the majority saying not using Yammer yet. Okay, no sweat. Again, thanks for joining us here. But feel free to respond to this poll at any point in time along the way. We're always glad to get that input from you guys, so we'll collect that from the end. Okay. All right. So then flipping back, Joy, would you like to just go ahead and kind of take over and drive on your end?
I would love to. Let me flip this around here. Are you sure you want to share? Yes, I'm sure. I'm going to share my desktop. All right. No offense, Richard, but I think I'll minimize you here as well. Okay, good, he says. I know. It's nice to be off camera for a minute. So, welcome to Yammer. So Yammer is getting a lot of buzz in the community these days because Microsoft and the team that works on Yammer in particular has been putting a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears into redesigning Yammer. And I am going to offer an opinion and say that I feel that we're overdue for Yammer to get this refresh. If you're not familiar, we'll just have a chat for a moment. Yammer was an acquisition that Microsoft made. Oh gosh, Richard, help me out. How long ago would you guess that was?
I don't recall, quite honestly. It could be, yeah, it's been a while.
I'm going to say more than 5 years ago.
Definitely more than 5.
Easily. Yeah. 8, 10? Oh, we're old. We're thinking about that. And it was really positioned as a place for us to connect socially before it was cool to be social in the workplace digitally. Those of you that have maybe a long SharePoint memory, do we remember SharePoint 2010 and your ability to like content, add ratings to content? I'm thinking that's probably close to the time Yammer joined the family. Yeah. A place to have social interactions at work. People made fun of SharePoint 2010 a lot. You know, they called it, oh, they're turning SharePoint into Facebook. I mean, it was out there. But I think that shows the vision that Microsoft had for a modern digital workplace. They saw it coming. And Yammer has been adopted with varying results, like any tool that we have in the tool belt. Some places took it and turned it into this place to broadcast throughout the organization, and it worked beautifully. Even some smaller groups would use it. I've interacted with clients like, well, we never really put the effort into it, so it just kind of turned into where we have our garage sale for the company. That's fair, but at least you have a way to do that that's not email-based. Mm-hmm. But the long and the short of it is Yammer is coming into its own this year in a really new and exciting way. They have completely redesigned it they call it a fabric UI or fluent design. SharePoint is now the official storage for documents and content that's uploaded in Yammer. Yay, finally, yay, right? Consistent document management across the Microsoft 365 landscape. That makes the joy of SharePoint very, very happy.
Definitely a big deal. Definitely a big deal. It's took a long time to get to that point, but yeah, super excited about that.
Yeah, Yammer used to have its own little storage thing, which meant we had content kind of scattered around. And you know, this last bullet, I brought it in from Microsoft, intelligent technology to help you save time. That's meaningless unless you apply it, right? But it gives you a place to broadcast and share information out with the people that need to see it. So there is a new experience that is currently in preview. Later, we're going to go through and we're going to compare and contrast the classic Yammer experience and the new in preview Yammer experience. If you are a Yammer admin, you can go to the Yammer admin portal. And you see here, there's the option for the new Yammer. You can enable it as default, as an opt-in, or stay in classic. I mean, at the very least, I would encourage you, if you feel comfortable with your user base, to enable it as an opt-in. There's a little toggle, and we'll look at it here as we go through, where they can go, oh, at least the curious. I feel that typically goes the law of 80-20. 80% won't notice the toggle, and if they do, they might not click it because they're timid. 20% is the first thing they see, and they're going to go click that button. And you'll be able to get some feedback for the new experience from your organization, and that might help you, you know, set a timeline for when you do go all in before it's the default, right? We want to get our feet wet first. But I'm going to highlight a few changes. Groups are now communities. So we used to create a Yammer group. Now in the new experience, we create a Yammer community. Let's talk about this for a minute. First off, this shows me that at least the Yammer team has a thesaurus. Because I have nightmares about them going in a year and renaming it Yammer Teams. Oh my gosh, please don't do it. But I like that they call it a community, because your people in your Yammer object, I'm trying to be general here, can be part of an Office 365 group. You can create a Yammer community and have that be a group, or not, as is appropriate. So I appreciate the clarity in the terminology now, because you do not necessarily get an Office 365 or recently renamed Microsoft 365 group when you create a Yammer community. More about that later. You can favorite your communities. So you see in my demo here, there's a few that have been favorited. So they're at the top, and it's really easy to get to the ones that you go to, the ones you want to be a part of the most. I love that. A new look for conversations. And thank you to Microsoft for letting me use these slides. But now if you ask a question in Yammer, wrong screen, you get this lovely blue color coding for question and answers. If you create a poll, you get this teal. Are we going with teal for this color? There's so many types of teal. You get that for polls. And then if you want to give someone praise, very similar to the praise that you can give inside of Teams, right? It's never not a good time to give praise to your coworkers and your colleagues, especially if you've got people. Richard, I know you and your wife went through this. We've got other coworkers, those of you on the webinar. You've been working from home full-time while being full-time parents, while supporting your spouse that was working full-time and being a full-time parent. It's been a rough, I was going to say weeks, it's been a rough few months for a lot of us. Shout out. It's so easy to click that praise button. Okay, so step off that soapbox.
Yeah, I would say just kind of, you know, that might seem like a simple thing that they've changed the visual treatment for those different types of posts there, but you know, that really, it does go a long way. Just, you know, the fact that today you know, we've got so many kind of endpoints of information that are coming at us, Teams and email, and in this case, Yammer and text messages and et cetera, et cetera. That ability to just get a few seconds back in any kind of way that you're going to look for information, in this case for Yammer, and being able to quickly see that, you know, this was a particular question and maybe I've got a question that's related to that, or to be able to respond to a poll, or, you know, obviously be able to join in and recognizing others that have been praised. I think that that's a really nice change that they made there. And so, yeah, so excited about some of these, even you might consider to be simple changes, but they're going to be really useful.
Absolutely. And again, we're programmed to kind of key into color, so it just helps that much more. And this is my favorite thing. Your files are now in SharePoint. Yes, yes, yes. It does follow the permissions set in SharePoint. So if perhaps this is operations, and operations has a SharePoint site, and the Yammer community that was created is part of that Office 365 group, right? The permissions are going to be the same on the documents as they are on the site. Nice. That's nice. And it says use SharePoint document library for file folder navigation. We'll poke at that and see what that looks like here in a moment. Now, my favorite thing, because I'm a fan of one-stop shopping. I appreciate that I can go to my app launcher or my waffle in Microsoft 365 and launch the Yammer app. And if I'm going to spend a lot of time there, that's exactly what I'll do. But what if I'm in Teams working and we have a leadership Yammer community where they share information from the top down, or safety, or operations? I can get to that from Teams by adding that community to the appropriate channels. I can get to that from SharePoint from my homepage by adding the new Yammer web part. So it really starts to give us the ability to consume this information regardless of where we are. That's nice. That is a way to use intelligent technology to save time. I don't have to do, the phrase these days is context switch. I don't have to do a lot of context switching. I can just access it where I am. I like that. Demo time. It's our favorite time. So I've got two different environments that I'm going to kind of be going between. Just to warn you, first off, we have classic Yammer. Okay, this is the Yammer group in classic. Right here, I see group insights, group actions. I see the membership here. In classic, it's called a group. It is not an Office 365 group, just so you know. And I think that's why they brought clarity to the term. Right here, I can subscribe to this group by email. So if a new post is generated here, I'll get an email notification. I appreciate that. If I wanted to post to this group by email, I have that option. In fact, when I click it, it shows me what I need to copy and paste to send a message from my email inbox. Right? Nice little shortcut if I'm already there, I want to share something, or I saw a really awesome major change announcement come in from Microsoft. I can just go ahead and forward that to the group. And here's just the basic layout. So if there were new conversations I haven't seen, I could just filter on that. I'm caught up. There's nothing new to look out here. But I could, right from this screen, share something new with the group. And I get this great little icon where I could come in. I see the people I'm talking to. And I can start typing my message. I could ask a question, and that's denoted in Classic by the little question bubbles. I have options for polls, so it's not that these things didn't exist. They're just a little fancier now. Praise. Who do you want to praise? Richard. It helps if I click the right button. So, Richard, thanks for and post. Okay, awesome, right? He's got a thumbs up. he's going to get a notification because I mentioned him here this way. And this is kind of nice too. We're getting used to being able to get to everything we want to just by hovering over names. And we do have a slightly different classic contact card when we hover over people. And here's me as well. Okay. Could make an announcement. Hashtag year of Yammer. Can't type, people. Can't type. Let's do post. Year of Yammer. All right. So we do have some icons that show what things are. If I want to get to any of the files that have been shared, click that button. I see we have a list here, and I see an intranet architecture sample here. I find this a little interesting. I've spent a lot of time kind of going around and around and around and looking at all the various ways that this Yammer storage piece worked. And I'll confess something to you. At Pait Group, how many do we have now? 20? We're not a huge team. So Yammer is not our place that we go to share a lot of information. So jumping in over the last several months and getting used to and learning all the new things in Yammer has absolutely been a pleasure to see how far it's come. I can absolutely edit this document. You know, if I click here, we're used to clicking in the online documents and seeing a version history, seeing things like that. But if I put it in edit mode, now I can start to work with this a little more extensively. Notice I don't have the Open in Desktop App button here. If I click this, it's really not doing much for me. And this is in a Yammer group or community, depending on your experience, that is not connected to an Office 365 group. It's not connected to that designated SharePoint site. In fact, you can see where it is, yammer.com/pategroup.com/uploaded files/numbers. Okay, it's a little different. It's a little different.
Yeah, that's the dead giveaway, right? When you can see that
Yes.
URL, you're like, nope, that's in Yammer.
That's in Yammer. Always look at your URLs. I really like this. Mark official and lock changes. I like that a lot. I wouldn't mind seeing that functionality coming over to files in Teams. Because there's a lot of heartburn over, well, what if that one person on the team that's always doing stuff does something, or I don't want to have to go back and manage versions. I might have to go to the user voice after this and recommend. I like that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really cool features in Yammer that I wish were in Teams. So we'll need to call those out.
Yep, and the Teams group will be like, oh.
Yes. Yes. We have a couple questions. Yeah. Okay, so can you delete a comment conversation in Yammer?
Can you delete a conversation in Yammer? It's going to depend on some of the permissions, but I can come here and delete. Now, I'm curious, Richard, I'm the admin in the usual suspects. So right. I'd like to know if you click that ellipsis.
I can edit my own post and I can delete my own post, but I cannot edit and delete the entirety of the post.
And I can, because I'm the admin.
Yes.
I got the power.
Exactly. Yep.
And another question is, what about restricting who can start a conversation?
Who can start a conversation? That is a good question. Let me ponder that for a moment. Manage members and admins. In this group, I don't think that's a possibility. Richard, if you know that off the top of your head, please do feel free.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head if you can limit specific users. I do know, and this might be something that you were going to talk about here, Joy. I do know that you have the ability to close a conversation so that it effectively, no one can post past a certain set of conversations. Again, that's part of the new Yammer experience. So like, for example, like in all company, if in the all company group, you wanted to be able to control the messaging a bit more so that it's, only got the kind of the official information that you're really trying to communicate out across the entire company, you could go into a post there and actually close it. And then when you close it, no one else can make additional comments at that point. So, but that's a good question about, can you potentially limit who can actually post? We'll need to look into that one.
Okay, awesome. So that was a little tour of classic Yammer. Notice what's really cool right up here. Try the Yammer Preview. So this tenant, we set it to be new by default, but it still gives you the option to toggle back and forth. So we'll let Yammer take a breath, think about itself, and I'm sorry, this just looks cooler, right? Mm-hmm. Here's my usual suspects banner. Now, if I want to post something, here's my announcement, right? We still have it here. Richard's still posting fun gifts here. I like that. But if I want to share something with the community, now if I make it a question, right, there's the blue. Praise, here's my purple. Now, I do want to mention something about polls. I'm not going to say that they're tricking me, but I think they're teasing that maybe there's something more to come. Because does this color look familiar to you at all? Let's see. Let's go to all apps, and I'm just going to scroll down to forms. There's some similarity in these colors. That made me really, really, really hope that when I created a poll, that meant it was going to forms. You see how we can think that? In fact, I did one. Oh, I'm all caught up. I'm still in new conversations. Let's just refresh that. There you go. So here's a poll we did, because yesterday was Monday, and that's the day we're supposed to make sure all of our time is in from the week before. So I created this little poll, and I went into forms to look and see if there was a poll form that had been created. And at this point, it's not. But I hope this color choice indicates that that's coming. Again, that might be another user voice topic to see if it's out there. I do appreciate how cleaner the conversation is here. You know, the little boxes around it, so it's very clear what the comments go with. You can come in and like, share to a private message. I've copied this link this morning and put it in our all Pait team so people could come in and vote as they were waking up and drinking their morning coffee. I see that 6 people have seen it. I've shared it once, right? So I can get some kind of soft metrics on this right here. And you know Microsoft, if you see 3 dots in a row, you need to click it because there's more stuff.
Yeah.
Here's that close conversation option. If I wanted to pin it so everybody saw it, because I think this poll is important, now it's pinned, okay? It's going to be there for folks right when they come into the top. See that little thumbtack? That's what that's called, right up here. So I'm organizing. You see, I have favorited this, so it's right here up top. I will say what I find fun is when I come in, it brings me to a home feed to see latest and greatest and what's going on at Pait in all of our communities. So this is important stuff, right? I can see kind of a ticker of what's going on, and then I come down to something Ryan did in 2016. Okay. And then I just click into my usual suspects. I'm going to pull over my demo tenant now to show you what it looks like if you are connected to a Microsoft 365 group. Oops, let me get my taskbar back. Let's find Megan over here. So here is Megan inside of operations. This is the favorited community here. Okay, they haven't added a cool banner yet to theirs. This is a default cover photo. We can see immediately we have 20 members. The #1 giveaway that this is connected to an Office 365 group, as far as I can tell, is they can create a live event. Yes, Yammer supports live events. Let's see if my demo environment will let me do it, right? It's very similar to the Teams live event, but it is not a Teams live event. That is for here inside this community to be broadcast with this community. So know that's here, be aware of it. I think that's a pretty exciting thing that where we could utilize Yammer for these events inside the organization. And it goes to show too that this really is a tool that is designed, I should say it's designed just for broader communication, but that's definitely the direction Microsoft has taken it. Teams is where we work with our teams. I actually heard a member of the community say, you know, your team is not your whole company. By and large, that's kind of a true statement. Even with 20 employees in our company, there are some folks that I don't think I've ever been on a project with. I mean, you're still part of the Pait team, right? We're still family, but we just don't work closely together as we typically would inside of teams. Yammer is that great platform to broadcast out and engage with the organization. I like that in my demo tenant, when Microsoft set this up, there's a leadership community where leadership can come in and talk with and engage with everyone in one focused place. It still invites communication. It invites us to connect, but it's obvious who is presenting the information and who it's intended for, if that makes sense. Nice little thing. Here we see there was some praise shared from leadership. That's got to feel good. So if I toggle this over to Classic up here on the toolbar, you're switching back. I don't want to share feedback now, maybe later. Some key differences, since this is connected to a Microsoft 365 group, is this Office 365 resources. Now I do have that SharePoint site, right? I can go directly to the document library, directly to the site, to the shared OneNote notebook, or the planner plan, right? The resources just got better. And if I click on files, even though I'm not in the new version, right? But it's showing me SharePoint. I'm going to click on this Q2 budget. All right, there's the read-only. Not awesome in Excel, but if I edit the file, it doesn't look like our normal URL, right? But the fact that I'm seeing operations here, I'm on to you. And my breadcrumb. Show you the wormhole. All right, there's Nestor. We're on the Contoso operations team that's locked down to the 20 team members, right? I'm going to go into documents. Of course, we know we click on documents, that brings us into the root of the SharePoint documents library. Anyone want to put money up against what's in this? Apps. Oh, what's that? Yammer, right there. And there are those documents. Minor differences. But I love that we are starting to bring all of the document management right here into SharePoint. So then as a community, when we're attached to a Microsoft 365 group, it's just really being streamlined. And I would go so far to say, well, if there's a folder here, if there's a way to get to this content, then chances are I can easily get to it from Teams too. So if we're having those smaller operations, conversations in maybe our functional areas of operations, we can still tab to this content as needed inside of Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to do that? I think I want to do that. All right, so I've switched over to Teams inside of my demo environment. Now, my first thought, the first time I went to do this, is like, okay, let's add a team. Let's add a, nope, we're not seeing Yammer here. So I'm going to go over here to apps. Let's see. Communities is the key. If I type Yammer, and that's what I did the first time. I was like, I know it's here. They're talking about it. I know it's here. It's communities. And I'm adding the app to Teams first. It kind of feels like we're jumping through a hoop, but I promise it's worth it. Okay. Well, now here is my Yammer right here on the left rail of Teams. How cool is that?
It's super cool.
It's super cool. But Richard, you know, it's cool, but when I'm working in my team, I probably want to get to certain areas of Yammer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So if I go to Teams, right, I could pick the appropriate community and add it to a channel. Just for fun, what I'm going to do, I'm in the Contoso, which would be like the all company team. In fact, it says right here, org wide. I'm going to click this plus sign to add a tab. Now it's here. Awesome. Okay. I am going to add it. Notice it kind of talks you through some stuff because we are opening up some accessibility from Yammer into Teams. Now I have an extra step. I want that to go away. Let's let it think about it. Here it comes. Different, right? It knows we're going into a team. So it's going to ask us which group or community do we want to add to this channel. Okay, it could be a group or a topic.
They're getting there in terms of changing that term community from groups, right? They're getting there. They're getting there.
Getting there. Absolutely. Well, it's like I still find documentation that refers to Office 365 and Office 365 groups. You know, it's slowly coming over to the new rebranded terminology. I'm going to hit save. There we go. That's what we expect, right? So now it's not just general in the conversation in posts. Now we can also get to and interact with the communications from leadership. Sweet. And if you want to view in Yammer, you've got that option. I will say there is a Yammer app. I did download it not too long ago. It is still this classic interface. It hasn't switched over yet to the new modern Yammer Preview. So I feel it's worth calling that out. But as good as the web applications are at this point in time, I don't really have much need to have another application loaded on my computer. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Outlook on the web?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess like anything else that's an app, the desktop app that gets installed, there's a couple of other things that are beneficial. You know, it hooks into Windows OS, so it's going to give you some things like some notification banners that pop up and things like that. But, you know, Yammer, like a lot of things in Microsoft 365, was born in the cloud, and it was intended to be in the cloud. So at least for my personal preference, I haven't really found that using the Yammer Desktop App is something that I'm inclined to do. I'm inclined to get to that experience more from, obviously, in the browser, But even now, being able to have that app that's tied into Teams, so I don't have to leave Teams to be able to interact with Yammer. Just haven't been really thinking about going on the desktop side. But, hey, some people might find that to be really useful for their workflow.
Absolutely. And that's the wonderful thing about how Microsoft has positioned these apps. Yes, 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 yes. It feels like there's overlap in a lot of different applications. And I can promise you, when Microsoft announced Year of Yammer, I can't lie. Yeah, I'm the joy of SharePoint. SharePoint's my favorite. Teams is a close second because I love the interaction there. There's some competition in some folks between Yammer or Teams, Yammer or Teams, Yammer and Teams.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, because Microsoft has positioned these tools so you can easily adopt the one that fits the need of the organization. Yammer is not going to facilitate your smaller team work the way Teams does, being able to share files, tab to those external resources, open up windows and do all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Teams, again, as a member of the community said once, the whole organization can't be your team. And if you're a large organization, that's probably very true. So we use what we need that fits the need. So I'm going to show off one more thing here. I'm just making sure I didn't already add it and I forgot about it, because I do that sometimes. All right, and I didn't. So another way we can get to our stuff very easily in Yammer is from SharePoint. I'm going to click this handy dandy edit button. And I want to pick a good spot to put this. Let's see. Let's add the vertical section over here on the right. I'm going to add, so conversations or highlights. I'm going to go with conversations. Notice it's not communities and it's not even called Yammer. It's called conversations. So the terminology is a little different. Okay. Community. Search for your community. Perfect. It's right here. How much room do you want this to take up on your page? The reason I went with this vertical section is so it can scroll on forever and it won't push this other important homepage content down. Okay, fine, I'll do 12. It feels like a lot, but that's why I put it over here so I could. Sometimes our SharePoint web parts update the page as we go. This one won't until I hit republish. Before I do that, let's click, I didn't click this one. See how you can tailor this? Should it be focused to the user? Should it be certain topics? Should it be the home feed for the user? But I'm going to choose to go with the whole community. Okay, didn't want to skip over that. All right, my page is thinking about what I did to it. So now Yammer has just taken over on the whole right-hand side of the screen. If I were on a bigger monitor, right, everything would be a little bit wider. I just published a page. Yes, I did. Thank you. There we go. As I scroll down, more stuff comes in. Oh, here's a message from the boss. Definitely going to like that. Okay, fantastic. You can interact with this. If you went through the pain and suffering when the Yammer web part got locked down a couple of years back, deep breath, that's over. This is fantastic.
Yes.
Stacy, do we have any questions?
Somebody wants to know how many admins are able to manage the all company platform on Yammer?
Oh, throwing me some, I don't know, but we will find out. I'm just going to click in here real quick. All company, let's take a look at our people.
Yeah, I don't know if all companies treated differently than other Yammer formerly groups now called communities, but at least in the past there was 100 member limit to admins. So you can go double check that and see where you could have up to 100 people in the group, in the community rather, listed as admins. I think that's the same for all company, but yeah, we'll go verify that.
And might I say, that sounds like a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
But of course, you never want to just have one, because what if that one decides to go on vacation one day?
No.
Don't do it.
No, definitely don't do it. You need a backup.
You need a backup. It's like The Legend of Zelda. It's dangerous to go alone.
Oh,
so you always want to have more than one. All right. Well, that will wrap us up on the content we have to share with you. I would love to know, as we come into this wrap-up phase, just if anyone has shared experiences that you want to put in chat for how you use Yammer to connect people across your organization. I love to hear those use cases. And the more we can share the good news of the good things that have come to Yammer, the better we can help other companies adopt these platforms. And I am going to go backwards in slides for just a minute to show you again that admin slide. If I can find it, here we go. Here we go. So again, the Yammer Admin Center to enable the new Yammer, still in preview. There's still a few buttons where I find it just should be a little easier to find certain things. Right here is where you do that under, for some reason, it's under the network section. And again, just to show off a couple of buttons as we wrap up. If you want to favorite your all company or whichever community you're in, here. And then you can get to that community settings here in the new. All right.
Yeah, nice job. Microsoft has really done just an amazing overhaul of Yammer, which, they've done little UI tweaks and adjustments here and there over the many, many years that they've been trying to get it all integrated into Microsoft 365. But now to basically do this complete refresh, which, by the way, and then you might have said this already, Joy, but this experience also translates over to the Yammer mobile app. So if you use the Yammer mobile app as well, which I think a lot of people find really useful when you're using any of these tools for that matter, whether it's Teams or Microsoft To Do, which you all know how I feel about To Do. But then having Yammer on your mobile device so that you can also quickly be able to get in, kind of thumb through conversations that are being had within communities that you find useful, and then be able to quickly be able to respond or even just like someone's post or whatever it is that's going on. I think that's really handy to have. So the mobile experience for Yammer also has been updated to include this new UI.
Absolutely. And the mobile apps just keep getting better and better and better. And again, if you don't have the new Office app, stop what you're doing and go get it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, super cool.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone that joined the webinar. Appreciate your feedback, your input, your questions. Thanks for being part of the surveys. Next week, which is actually going to be the 23rd, if you saw me pull up my calendar to verify that, the 23rd, we're going to look at whiteboard. And I have to tell you, I have a touch screen and a stylus, and I am waiting for this demo. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And if you're on Twitter, there is actually a fun account to follow out there. Is it Whiteboard MVP?
Yes, I think that's right.
Yep. He's a lot of fun. You want to go find that account to be prepared. You'll see a lot of tips and tricks before you even get to the webinar. But again, thank you. Hope you all have a great rest of your day and rest of your week. Thank you for taking time out to be a part of our exploration of Yammer today. Please do feel free to connect with us social media. The QR codes will actually take you to our LinkedIn profiles, which is super fancy. Richard set that up. Thank you. You all have a great day. Richard, thanks so much for hanging.
Thanks to you. And thanks everybody for joining. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.